The emergency alert shattered the pre-dawn silence aboard the Terran Defense Command Station. Admiral Sarah Chen was already awake, reviewing intelligence reports when her holographic display flickered and transformed into an urgent transmission. The image stabilized to reveal Captain Marcus Rhodes, his face ashen and voice trembling with barely contained fury. "Admiral, the Hope's light is gone. The Creveri, they destroyed her. No survivors." Chen's coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering against the deck. The Hope's Light was Earth's most advanced medical vessel, carrying over 300 of humanity's finest doctors, nurses, and medical researchers. They had been en route to the colony of New Eden, racing to combat a devastating plague that had already claimed thousands of lives. Verification. Chen's voice remained steady, though her hands had curled into fists at her sides. "Multiple sources, ma'am. We have sensor data from 3 separate monitoring stations and a distress beacon's final transmission. The Creveri warships gave no warning. They simply emerged from FTL and opened fire. The Hope's Light never stood a chance." The Admiral closed her eyes, drawing a deep breath. The Hope's Light had been marked with every known medical and humanitarian designation. Its shields were designed for environmental hazards, not military engagement. The ship's destruction wasn't just an act of war, it was an atrocity. "What's the Creveri response?" she asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't satisfy. "They're claiming the Hope's Light was carrying biological weapons, ma'am. Say they had credible intelligence, that we were planning to use the plague as cover for deploying them." Chen's jaw tightened. The Creveri Empire had been pushing against human expansion for years, testing boundaries, probing defenses. But this was different. This was a deliberate crossing of a line that every spacefaring civilization had agreed to respect. "Get me the Joint Chiefs," she ordered, activating her command interface, "and send word to every fleet commander in the sector. I want all ships on high alert." Within hours, the Terran Defense Command's war room was filled with the holographic projections of Earth's highest-ranking military leaders. The evidence played out before them in stark detail. The Hope's Light's final moments, the sudden appearance of Creveri warships, the brutal efficiency of the attack. "They're forcing our hand," General Santos observed, his hologram flickering slightly. "The Creveri have been looking for an excuse to start a war. Now they think they have one." "This isn't about starting a war," Chen countered, stepping through the holographic display of the attack zone. "This is about testing our resolve. The Creveri believe we've grown soft, that our emphasis on humanitarian aid and peaceful expansion has made us weak." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They're wrong." The next few hours were filled with intense debate. Some argued for diplomatic solutions, others for immediate retaliation. Chen listened to all sides, but her mind was already working several steps ahead. She had studied the Creveri for years, trying to understand their militaristic culture and hierarchical mindset. "We can't just respond with force," she finally declared, silencing the ongoing arguments. "We need to respond with overwhelming technological superiority and tactical precision. The Creveri respect strength, but they also respect capability. We'll show them both." Chen activated the central display, bringing up the specifications for Project Thunderbolt, a classified fleet modernization program that had been in development for the past 5 years. The assembled leaders leaned forward, their eyes widening as they took in the details. "These ships weren't meant to be deployed for another 8 months, she continued, but the modular design means we can accelerate the timeline. The Creveri are expecting outdated cruisers and conventional tactics. Instead, they'll face the most advanced fleet humanity has ever produced." The specifications scrolled past: quantum-linked targeting systems, adaptive shield harmonics, AI-assisted battle coordination. Each innovation represented a leap forward in military technology, carefully hidden from prying eyes until the right moment. "We'll need approval from the Council," General Santos pointed out, though his expression had shifted from concern to cautious optimism. "They'll give it," Chen replied, her voice hard with certainty. The Creveri didn't just attack a ship, they attacked everything we stand for. The Council will understand that our response needs to be decisive. As the meeting concluded and the holograms winked out one by one, Chen remained in the war room, studying the last recorded images of the Hope's Light. She thought about the medical personnel aboard, the lives they'd been racing to save, the families now grieving their loss. The Creveri had believed they were exposing humanity's weakness. Instead, they had awakened its strength. "Begin the fleet mobilization," she ordered, her voice carrying the weight of command. "And get me everything we have on Creveri command structures. If they want to see humanity's true capabilities, we'll give them a demonstration they'll never forget." Across Earth's colonial sphere, shipyards burst into round-the-clock activity. Reserve units were activated, training programs accelerated, and classified weapons platforms brought online. The Creveri had struck at humanity's heart, its commitment to healing and helping others. Now they would learn why that commitment made humans not weaker, but infinitely stronger. Admiral Chen stood at her window, watching as the first of the new warships began to take formation. They were beautiful in their way, sleek and powerful, embodying the perfect fusion of human ingenuity and determination. But they were also a reminder of a simple truth, that sometimes the greatest acts of peace required the capability for war. The Hope's Light was gone, but its legacy would live on in humanity's response, not just in the force of arms, but in the demonstration that an attack on humanity's humanitarian principles was an attack on humanity itself. The Creveri were about to learn that lesson, and the galaxy would never be the same. The massive holographic display in Earth Fleet Command's Strategic Operations Center painted the room in an eerie blue glow. Admiral Chen stood before it, studying the intricate web of supply lines, fleet positions, and strategic targets that stretched across Creveri space. Behind her, teams of analysts and tactical officers worked in focused silence, processing the constant stream of intelligence flowing in from deep cover probes and covered observation posts. "The Creveri are repositioning their defensive fleets," Captain Rhodes reported, highlighting several movement patterns on the display. "They're consolidating around their core worlds, leaving their frontier stations vulnerable." Chen nodded, her expression thoughtful. The Creveri's actions revealed both arrogance and anxiety. They expected a direct assault on their homeworld, but feared showing weakness by maintaining their border presence. It was exactly the opening she had been waiting for. "Show me the latest from Project Thunderbolt," she commanded. The display shifted, revealing the gathered might of humanity's response. Over 300 ships had been upgraded with the new quantum systems in just 2 weeks, a feat that had required every shipyard and manufacturing facility in human space working at maximum capacity. The fleet's crown jewel was the newly commissioned TNS Retribution, its sleek profile bearing little resemblance to traditional human warship design. Its hull incorporated metamaterials that could adapt to enemy targeting systems, while its revolutionary propulsion system allowed for tactical maneuvers that would tear conventional ships apart. Engineering teams report the quantum-linked targeting systems are performing beyond expectations, Rhodes continued. The AI Battle Coordination Network is showing a 300% improvement in reaction times during simulated engagements. But it wasn't just the technological advances that gave Chen confidence. The attack on the Hope's Light had united humanity in a way few events could. Colonial governments had set aside old rivalries, pooling resources and sharing technical expertise. Civilian corporations had opened their research facilities to military use, while universities had redirected their finest minds toward the war effort. "Admiral," a young lieutenant called out, her voice urgent, "we're picking up unusual energy signatures from deep in Creveri territory. The pattern matches theoretical models for quantum tunneling technology." Chen's eyes narrowed. If the Creveri were experimenting with quantum tunneling, it could explain their sudden boldness. The ability to bypass traditional defenses would give them a significant tactical advantage, or so they thought. "Show me the data," she ordered. The display shifted again, revealing complex energy wavelengths that pulsed with an alien rhythm. Chen studied them carefully, her mind racing through the implications. They're trying to develop their own version of our quantum systems. But that's impossible. Rhodes protested. Our quantum research was completely classified. The security protocols were compromised. Chen finished grimly. The attack on the Hope's Light wasn't just about starting a war. They needed us to respond, to reveal our technological capabilities. She paused, a cold anger settling in her chest. They used those doctors and patients as bait. The revelation sent a ripple of shocked murmurs through the command center. It was one thing to attack a medical ship in an act of aggression. It was another to do so as part of a calculated plan to steal human technology. The Creveri hadn't just committed an atrocity. They had weaponized humanity's compassion against itself. Update the fleet's encryption protocols, Chen ordered, and get me a direct link to our quantum research facilities. If the Creveri want to play this game, we'll show them just how far behind they really are. Over the next several days, the human fleet underwent its final preparations. Each ship was equipped with upgraded quantum shields specifically designed to counter the Creveri's stolen technology. Battle groups rehearsed complex maneuvers that would have been impossible just weeks ago, while AI systems ran millions of combat simulations to identify potential weaknesses. But Chen knew that technology alone wouldn't be enough. The Creveri had chosen this confrontation carefully, believing they understood human nature. They saw humanity's emphasis on medical care and humanitarian aid as signs of weakness, never realizing that these very qualities were the source of human strength. They think they can match our technology, she told her assembled fleet commanders, their holograms gathered around the strategic display. But they can't match our innovation, our adaptability, or our determination. They struck at the heart of what makes us human, believing it would break us. Instead, it has only made us stronger. The commanders nodded, their faces set with grim resolve. Each of them had lost friends or colleagues aboard the Hope's Light. Each understood that this wasn't just about revenge. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity's compassion and technological prowess were two sides of the same coin. As the final battle plans were distributed, Chen received word that the quantum research teams had made a breakthrough. They had not only identified the weakness in the Creveri's stolen technology, but had developed a way to turn it against them. It was fitting, she thought, that the very technology the Creveri had killed to obtain would become the instrument of their defeat. All ships begin final launch preparations, she commanded, watching as the massive fleet began to move into position. The Retribution's engines hummed to life beneath her feet, its quantum core pulsing with carefully controlled power. The Creveri wanted to see humanity's true capabilities. It's time we showed them exactly what that means. Across the assembled fleet, crews made their final checks and weapon systems came online. They carried with them not just advanced technology and overwhelming firepower, but the weight of humanity's response to an unforgivable act. The Creveri had believed they were provoking a war. Instead, they had sparked an evolution in human military capability that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The storm was gathered. Now it was time to let it break. The human fleet dropped out of quantum space in perfect formation, their arrival marked by ripples of distorted space-time that quickly faded into the void. Admiral Chen stood on the Retribution's bridge, watching as their target came into view. The Creveri's most advanced research and development facility, hidden within an asteroid field in the Centauri sector. Multiple enemy contacts, the tactical officer reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Detecting 23 warships and numerous defensive platforms. They're moving to intercept. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Creveri response was exactly what she had predicted, aggressive but predictable. Their ships were arranged in a classic defensive sphere, designed to concentrate firepower while protecting their vulnerable research facility. It was a sound strategy, or it would have been against a conventional fleet. Launch quantum probes, she ordered. Across the human fleet, hundreds of small, sleek devices detached from their carrier ships. To Creveri sensors, they would appear as simple reconnaissance drones. In reality, they were far more dangerous. The Creveri fleet opened fire first, their energy weapons cutting brilliant paths through space. But the human ships didn't respond immediately. Instead, they began a complex series of maneuvers that seemed almost choreographed, each vessel moving in perfect coordination with its neighbors. "Quantum network is stable," Captain Rhodes reported. "All ships are synchronized and ready for Phase 1. Chen nodded. "Execute." The quantum probes suddenly activated, creating a web of interconnected fields that enveloped the battlefield. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Creveri's weapons fire began to curve and distort, their carefully aimed shots passing harmlessly through the spaces where human ships had been milliseconds before. "Multiple hits on enemy vessels," Tactical announced. "Their targeting systems are completely disrupted. They're trying to compensate, but the quantum field is adapting faster than their computers can process." The human fleet's response was precisely coordinated through their AI battle network. Ships moved in patterns that would have been impossible for human reflexes alone, their positions constantly shifting based on real-time quantum calculations. Each vessel acted as part of a greater whole, their movements creating overlapping fields of fire that left the Creveri no room to maneuver. "Enemy flagship is attempting to coordinate a counterattack," Rhodes said, highlighting a massive Creveri vessel at the center of their formation. "They're realizing their stolen quantum technology isn't working as expected." Chen's expression hardened. "Show them why. Activate the quantum interference protocols." The probe's energy fields shifted frequency, targeting specifically the crude quantum systems the Creveri had developed from stolen human research. The effect was catastrophic for the enemy fleet. Their ship's power systems began to fluctuate wildly as the stolen technology turned against them, creating cascade failures throughout their formation. "Multiple Creveri vessels are losing power," Tactical reported with barely contained satisfaction. "Their defensive platforms are offline. The research facility's shields are failing." But Chen wasn't interested in simply destroying the enemy. This attack needed to send a message, one that would resonate throughout Creveri space and beyond. "Target their communication arrays," she ordered. "I want them to broadcast what happens next to every Creveri world in range." The Retribution's main weapons came online, their quantum-enhanced targeting systems allowing for precision that would have been impossible just weeks ago. The massive ship moved forward, its presence alone causing several damaged Creveri vessels to break formation and retreat. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet." She broadcast on all frequencies, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "You attacked a medical vessel. You murdered doctors and patients. You thought you could steal our technology and use it against us. You were wrong on all counts." The human fleet's fire intensified, but with surgical precision. Key systems on the Creveri ships were disabled one by one, leaving them helpless but largely intact. The research facility's outer defenses crumbled under concentrated fire, exposing its vital sections to carefully targeted strikes. "We could destroy every ship in your fleet," Chen continued. "We could reduce your facility to atoms. But unlike you, we understand the difference between justice and vengeance. This is your only warning. Return to your territory. Abandon your attempts to steal our technology. Next time, we won't be so merciful." The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The Creveri fleet hung powerless in space, their stolen quantum systems transformed into little more than expensive paperweights. The research facility's databases had been completely wiped by targeted electromagnetic pulses, years of stolen research eliminated in seconds. "Enemy commander is requesting terms," Rhodes reported, a note of surprise in his voice. "They're offering unconditional surrender." Chen studied the tactical display, watching as status indicators across the Creveri fleet shifted from red to gray as systems continued to fail. The victory was complete, but she felt no satisfaction. This was just the beginning. "Accept their surrender," she ordered. "Have medical ships stand by to assist their wounded. Send in engineering teams to help stabilize their critical systems." She paused, making sure her next words would be recorded and transmitted along with the battle footage. Let them see that even after what they've done, we haven't abandoned our principles. That's the difference between us, and that's why they'll never truly understand our strength. As recovery operations began, Chen received word that the battle's transmission had indeed reached deep into Kraveri space. Their first strike had achieved everything she had hoped for, demonstrating not just humanity's technological superiority, but the fundamental difference in their approach to warfare. The Kraveri had sought to exploit what they saw as humanity's greatest weakness. Instead, they had forced humanity to reveal its greatest strength, the ability to maintain its values even in the midst of conflict. It was a lesson that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy, written in the language of quantum fields and precision strikes. The storm had broken, and its message was clear. Humanity's compassion was not a weakness to be exploited, but a strength to be reckoned with. The captured Kraveri research facility had yielded an unexpected bounty of intelligence, but as Admiral Chen studied the decoded files, she felt her blood run cold. The attack on the Hope's Light hadn't just been about stealing technology. It had been a desperate act born of fear and a terrible secret. "Play it again," she ordered, watching the recovered security footage for the third time. The holographic display showed a Kraveri medical bay, but unlike anything human intelligence had previously documented. Hundreds of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a Kraveri soldier showing signs of a devastating disease. "Our analysis confirms it," Captain Rhodes reported grimly. "The Kraveri are facing a genetic crisis. Their military expansion, their obsession with technological superiority. It's all been to hide the fact that their species is dying." The irony was almost too much to bear. The Hope's Light had been carrying advanced medical equipment and research teams that might have helped the Kraveri if they had only asked. Instead, their pride and militaristic culture had driven them to attack the very people who could have saved them. "Alert the fleet," Chen commanded, her decision already made. "We're advancing on the Kraveri core worlds. But first, contact Earth Medical Command. I want our best geneticists analyzing this data." The human fleet moved deeper into Kraveri space, encountering increasingly desperate resistance. Enemy ships launched suicide attacks, their crews fighting with the fury of those who had nothing left to lose. But humanity's quantum-enhanced vessels proved more than equal to the challenge. Multiple breakthrough infections detected in the Kraveri home system, Rhodes reported during one particularly fierce engagement. Their military command structure is starting to break down. Some of their colonies are going dark. Chen watched from the Retribution's bridge as another wave of Kraveri ships was disabled by precisely targeted quantum strikes. The enemy's tactics had grown more reckless, more brutal, but also more revealing. Each encounter showed signs of the strain their society was under. "Admiral," the communications officer called out suddenly, "we're picking up a transmission from one of their inner colonies. It's a distress signal." The message played across the command center, translated in real time by AI systems. It wasn't from the Kraveri military, but from their civilian leadership. The disease was spreading faster than their quarantine measures could contain. Their medical facilities were overwhelmed. Their population was panicking. "They're asking for help," Rhodes said quietly. "After everything they've done." Chen's response was immediate. "Deploy our medical ships. Have them coordinate with any Kraveri facility willing to cooperate, and get me a secure channel to their high command." The next few hours were tense as human medical vessels, heavily escorted but with weapons powered down, approached Kraveri worlds. Some were met with resistance, others with desperate gratitude. The pattern became clear. Younger Kraveri officers, less indoctrinated in their species' militant ideology, were more willing to accept human aid. "Their leadership is fracturing," intelligence reported. "The hardliners want to continue fighting, but they're losing control. More colonies are directly requesting our assistance." Chen stood before the tactical display, watching as the situation evolved. The Kraveri Empire, which had seemed so formidable just weeks ago, was coming apart at the seams. But this wasn't the victory she had envisioned. The enemy they had come to fight was being destroyed not by human weapons, but by their own hubris. New contact, Tactical announced suddenly. Massive energy signature detected near the Kraveri homeworld. They're activating something. The sensors revealed a massive installation, previously hidden beneath the surface of their capital world. Energy readings suggested weapons of unprecedented scale, a last resort weapon that could devastate entire systems. They're going to use it, Robes realized, horror in his voice. Rather than accept help, they'll. Not while I'm breathing. Chen cut him off. All ships, execute emergency protocol Omega. Quantum strike teams, prepare for precision deployment. We didn't come this far to watch them commit suicide. The human fleet moved with practiced coordination, their quantum systems allowing them to anticipate and counter the desperate attacks of Kraveri defenders. But this wasn't just a military operation anymore. It had become a race against time to save an enemy from itself. Multiple quantum field generators detected in the installation, Tactical reported. They're trying to create a cascading reaction that would sterilize their entire home system. Estimated time to activation, 15 minutes. Chen's mind raced through options, calculating possibilities with the help of the fleet's AI systems. A direct assault would take too long. Conventional weapons couldn't penetrate the facility's defenses in time. They needed something unprecedented, something the Kraveri would never expect. Prepare the retribution for quantum tunneling, she ordered. Full power to forward shields. Plot a course directly through their defensive screen. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. What she was proposing had never been attempted, using the ship's quantum systems to phase through solid matter while remaining coherent enough to deploy weapons. The calculations alone would have taken weeks without their AI assistance. The ship wasn't designed for this, Rhodes protested. The stress on the hull will be less than the weight on our conscience if we let them die. Chen finished. Execute the order. The Retribution's quantum core pulsed with power as it accelerated toward the Kraveri defenses. Energy weapons splashed harmlessly against its shields as the massive ship began to phase, its structure seeming to blur at the edges. Quantum field stable, engineering reported, though strain was evident in their voice. Beginning tunnel sequence in 3, 2, 1. Reality itself seemed to bend as the Retribution passed through solid rock and metal, its quantum field maintaining a bubble of normal space around the ship. They emerged directly above the facility's reactor core, weapons already firing with surgical precision. Target neutralized, Tactical announced as the installation's power signatures began to fade. The chain reaction has been prevented. The silence that followed was broken by an incoming transmission from the Kraveri High Command. Their message was brief but clear. They were ready to talk. As the adrenaline of the moment faded, Chen looked out at the Kraveri homeworld below. They had come seeking justice for an atrocity, only to find themselves fighting to save the very people who had wronged them. It was perhaps the most human outcome possible. The Great Hall of the Kraveri High Command had never before seen human visitors, much less an entire diplomatic delegation. Admiral Chen stood at the center of the chamber, her dress uniform a stark contrast to the ornate military regalia of the Kraveri leadership. The air was thick with tension and unspoken words. "You could have destroyed us," the Kraveri Supreme Commander spoke, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into smooth English. "Your fleet had the power to reduce our worlds to ash. Instead, you chose to save us from ourselves. Why?" Chen's response was measured, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "Because that's not who we are." The Hope's Light wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of everything humanity stands for. When you destroyed it, you thought you were exploiting our weakness. Instead, you helped us prove our strength. The genetic research data recovered from human and Kraveri scientists was displayed in the center of the room, a swirling hologram of DNA strands and molecular structures. It told a story not just of disease, but of hope. Human medical technology, combined with data from the Creveri's own research, had yielded promising results. The treatment protocols are already showing success in preliminary trials, Dr. Sarah Morrison, chief of Earth's Medical Response Team, explained. The genetic degradation can be halted, and in many cases reversed, but the process will require extensive cooperation between our peoples. The irony was not lost on anyone present. The very collaboration that could have saved countless Creveri lives had been delayed by pride and aggression. The attack on the Hope's Light had nearly doomed the Creveri to extinction, while accepting its help could have prevented the entire conflict. "And what do you want in return?" another Creveri commander demanded, his posture rigid with suspicion. "What price does humanity place on our survival?" Chen stepped forward, her eyes scanning the assembled Creveri leadership. "Justice," she said simply. "Not revenge, not reparations, but true justice. Those responsible for the attack on the Hope's Light must be held accountable. Not by us, but by your own laws and courts." The proposal sent murmurs through the chamber. The Creveri were being offered not just survival, but a chance to maintain their dignity, to demonstrate that they could acknowledge their mistakes and grow from them. "There's more," Chen continued. "We want joint research facilities established throughout both our territories. Free exchange of medical knowledge and technology. The barriers between our species need to end. The galaxy is too vast, and its challenges too great for us to remain divided by fear and mistrust." The Supreme Commander rose from his seat, his massive form towering over the human delegation. "You speak of cooperation, yet your fleet still holds our worlds at gunpoint. How is this not simply conquest by another name?" Chen's response was immediate and firm. "Because the moment you agree to these terms, our weapons will power down, our medical ships will land. And most importantly, we'll share the quantum technology you tried to steal, not just the basic systems, but our latest advancements." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Creveri had sacrificed countless lives trying to obtain that technology, and now it was being offered freely. It challenged everything they thought they knew about humanity. "Your species prizes strength," Chen continued. "We're showing you ours, not just in our weapons or our technology, but in our willingness to help those who have wronged us. That is true power, the power to hold back when you could strike, to heal when you could harm." Hours of deliberation followed, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Creveri, faced with extinction, found themselves being offered not just survival but a chance at redemption. The terms were signed, and for the first time in either species' history, human and Creveri medical teams began working side by side. 1 month later, Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Hope's Promise, watching as human and Creveri ships conducted joint exercises. The massive medical vessel, larger and more advanced than its predecessor, symbolized the change that had come to this sector of space. "First round of treatments is showing a 94% success rate," Captain Rhodes reported, joining her at the viewport. "The Creveri genetic crisis will be fully contained within a year. Their hardliners are losing influence by the day as the population embraces the benefits of cooperation." Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the distance. "And the memorial? Construction begins next week. It will stand on both Earth and the Creveri homeworld, a reminder of what we lost and what we gained. The memorial would honor not just the crew of the Hope's Light, but all those who had died in the brief but brutal conflict. More importantly, it would stand as a testament to the power of choosing justice over vengeance, cooperation over conflict. We came here looking for revenge." Chen mused, watching as a Creveri medical shuttle docked with the Hope's Promise. "Instead, we found something far more valuable. The chance to prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our technology, but in our capacity for mercy." As if to emphasize her words, another ship appeared in the distance, a joint human-Creveri research vessel, its design a harmonious blend of both species' architecture. It represented something that had seemed impossible just months ago, a future where former enemies worked together to face the challenges of an infinite universe. The Hope's light was gone, but its spirit lived on, not in weapons of war or acts of vengeance, but in the triumph of humanity's highest principles. In the end, that was the greatest victory of all.